Hey 49ers fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into our weekly San Francisco 49ers rumors and news video where we get into the nitty-gritty, down and dirty with the San Francisco 49ers and all the news, and yes, the rumors as well that surround this team. And every week, there's always new stuff to talk about, and I can look at the rundown right here. A ton of things going on inside the San Francisco 49ers organization. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. This first one has to do with the 49ers and the chances of them becoming this year's team on HBO's Hard Knocks. And the report is the 49ers are not going to be one of the teams selected to be on Hard Knocks. According to a report by NBC Sports in the Bay Area, the 49ers have already been ruled out as being one of the finalists to get on this TV show. Now, you might be asking, well, were they even being considered in the first place? The answer is yes. Here's the criteria that you need to have, or your team needs to have, to actually be considered to be on Hard Knocks. Rule number one, no team with a first-year coach. Kyle Shanahan, obviously not an issue there. Rule number two, you cannot have made the playoffs within the past 2 years. 49ers, again, unfortunately, not an issue there. And finally, rule number three, you cannot have been on Hard Knocks in the past 10 years. Never been on Hard Knocks, so not a problem there. So they were actually, if you look at the list here, and we'll throw them up right now, here are the teams right now that meet that criteria. Niners are one. Giants, Raiders, Lions, and Washington Redskins would be the five that you could actually go to, the pool, if you will, that you could go ahead and pick from for the Hard Knocks teams. But if the NBC and the NBC Sports in the Bay Area is correct, the 49ers have already been ruled out. Now, we don't know why. There's no reason the article says as to why they have been ruled out, but I think we can look at the other teams and kind of figure out which one would actually make sense. I mean, again, Niners, Giants, Raiders, Lions, and Washington Redskins are the five teams. Just look on there, and which one would you like to see the most, or which would be the most exciting for you guys, really any NFL fan, to watch? It's easily the Oakland Raiders. I think that's going to be the pick here. There's a lot of rumors I was reading that Oakland is going to be the pick. I think a lot of people are already lobbying to see, Antonio Brown, Derek Carr, throw in John Gruden. It just makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately for us, though, I would love to see the Niners on Hard Knocks. It kind of gives us something to watch, something to do during the offseason, and a good inside look at the organization. But according to the report, it's looking like the Niners are not going to be on Hard Knocks. So look for the Oakland Raiders to probably lock that in right now. Probably be that team here announced in the next couple of months. Question. Would you even want the Niners to be on Hard Knocks? For me, easy answer, yes, 100%. I think it's fun, it's good TV, and it's our team. We want to watch them. But I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. This next rumor, this next bit of news is kind of interesting. Did Richard Sherman call out his defense? Now let's just lay down the groundwork for where I'm going with this right here. Remember, I have said this about 8 billion times on this rumors video, or rumors show. The 49ers had the worst rated secondary according to Pro Football Focus in the entire NFL last year. Now, Sherman, who's at the meat of this conversation, did say that he played at about 80% healthy, his health was about at 80% last year, coming off of the torn Achilles. But Sherman's comments, which we're going to show in just a second, basically show that he thinks the secondary was not to blame in terms of the 49ers defense. So here's the quote. Let's just throw it up right now. Richard Sherman said, quote, "We'd lose games by a touchdown down the stretch the last second. It's like, oh man, the secondary was just getting killed the whole game, and that's why we lost. It was just guys' immaturity, mistakes, just not executing, now not knowing how to finish, not having finishers." The next quote here, throw it up right now, is even more interesting. "We needed guys to hit," the quarterback, "in the face. We need a few of them. Now we have guys that can rotate in and rotate out and put a lot of pressure." So Sherman, is he exactly throwing the defense under the bus? Probably not. I don't think it's going to cause any stirs in the locker room. But it's interesting to see that he goes, yeah, the secondary had some mental breakdowns, but the problem was the defense not getting sacks, not hitting the quarterback. Basically left us out here to dry. And is he wrong? Not really. The 49ers defensive stats this year, you can throw them up on the screen right now. They lost 6 one-possession games. The defense was 26th in red zone scoring and 21st when stopping opponents on third down. So overall, the defense as a whole was bad. The secondary was atrocious, but not being able to get pressure on the quarterback was a huge deal for the Niners last year. And listen, the organization addressed it. I mean, they proved to us that that was a big deal by going out and trading for Dee Ford, drafting Nick Bosa. I think we can be safe to say that Sherman's wish of getting quarterback hits has been granted because the defensive line is going to be very, very good this year. Do you guys agree with Richard Sherman and all of his comments? Type yes or type Y for yes or N for no. I'm curious on this one. We're going to be scrolling through and reading them as I always do. I like to gauge what the fan pulse is here, and typing Y or N is a good way for me to go ahead and do that. Moving right along. This one kind of depresses me. I'm going to be straight up with you guys. It's a little bit upsetting. Rumor has it the 49ers are not interested in adding a veteran safety through the rest of free agency. Free agency is technically still open. I know. It's depressing, and we can say it every single year. We say it every single video here. The worst secondary in the league last year. They apparently tried to go get Earl Thomas, but that one, of course, fell through as he ended up in Baltimore. And really, the only thing that they did besides signing the corner Jason Verrett in free agency was to also get the corner Tim Harris in the 6th round of the NFL draft. Now, here are the two safeties that are available right now, who I think, if you're the Niners, pick up the phone, make a phone call. Eric Berry and Trey Boston are the two that, I mean, a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads. Why are these guys still available? The defensive back depth chart for the 49ers, as you see right now, Sherman and Verrett are probably your two corners on both sides, and then Ward and Tart, and possibly, Kwan Williams playing the nickel is how the secondary, I think, is going to look right now. But how much better would it look if you added in a Trey Boston? Now, I would take Trey Boston over Eric Berry. I've said that in these videos before. He's younger and really has had 2 good seasons with Arizona and the Chargers, and he probably could get him for a decent amount of money. I understand, listen, you have Ward and Tart. That's fine. We'll see what we have in them. But at the same time, why not go get another proven veteran in Eric Berry or Trey Boston? Just help improve the secondary. It was the worst in the league last year. The worst. Like, out of all of them, it was the worst. So we can only go up from here instead of just going like a little bit up, becoming not the worst, but like the 3rd or 4th worst. Let's go like way up and become a top 15 secondary in the league. And I think using, spending some of that extra money that we still have on one of these two players would be very, very beneficial. Listen, I'm going to ask what you guys think, but I'm going to read the comments. Would you rather have Boston or Eric Berry? Would you rather have neither of them? Let me know. I'm curious to see how this one goes, because I think you should be agreeing with me that we should go sign a safety, but there are probably still some out there who disagree. Let me know. I'll read down in the comments down below. Next headline here. The 49ers, according to Bleacher Report, apparently have the best running backfield in the entire NFL. Listen, that's what Bleacher Report said. They rated all of the NFL backfields, and guess who was number 1? Our San Francisco 49ers. That's right, the number 1 backfield in the league. This is a backfield last year, 13th in rushing yards last year, tied for last with 7 rushing touchdowns. Now again, it's ranking them right now, so they did get better, which of course we're going to see here in a second. But as according to the Bleacher Report article, this is the quote and what they said. We'll throw it up right now. In today's league, the best running back stables aren't filled with potential 1,000-yard rushers. There's been a shift towards an emphasis on pass-catching ability in the backfield, so the top tailbacks can also rack up receiving yards in the short passing game. That was kind of the logic behind the Niners being the number 1 backfield in the NFL going into this year. In case you forgot, here's the 49ers depth chart. Throw it up on the screen right now. Jerick McKinnon, Tevin Coleman, and Matt Breida. I mean, we can put them 1, 2, 3, but really it's a stable. They'll rotate through there. I love the addition of Tevin Coleman coming over from Atlanta. Listen, Breida's been good. I mean, a lot of people like Breida to be a feature back in this offense, and Jerick McKinnon needs to get healthy, which is fine, but him, Coleman, and Breida, you sit there and you look at other trios of running backs in the NFL, it's hard to find a trio that is going to be better than the San Francisco 49ers. So I would agree. So when I ask this next question, which of course is, do you think the 49ers have the best backfield in the NFL? Type Y for yes and for no. I will be going down and typing Y on my private YouTube account, which none of you guys will be able to guess. But I'll be down there. I would be typing Y for yes, because I completely agree with this. If they're not the best, they're top 3, top 4, top 5. Still very, very good. And just the potential of that with Jimmy Garoppolo gets me pretty excited. I'm not going to lie, right? It's pretty exciting to see about how the 49ers offense is going to look here in 2019. Final bit of news here. This one has to do with the depth chart in terms of veterans losing their starting positions. It's going to happen. and we're going to take a look at a couple of players that I think could lose their starting spots here this offseason in 2019. So before we start that, remember, the Niners made a bunch of moves this offseason. Defensive line, they had a bunch of draft picks. Really, to me, the D-line and the wide receiver groups were the two most improved, and so one of those groups could really be a case where someone loses their starting job. Here are the three vets. We'll start with Solomon Thomas. Listen, Solomon Thomas has not lived up to the high pick the Niners spent on him. He just hasn't. He was apparently in trade talks before the draft as the Niners are sitting there going, he's really not that good and could potentially be, not a bust, he's not terrible, but not, what it was worth spending a top 5 pick on the Niners did a couple of years back. And obviously, listen, they added Dee Ford, they added Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead's just better. So you look at the defensive line, where does Solomon Thomas fit? Now, he could be a rotational guy, but the starters on this line, Bosa and Ford and Armstead, I don't know where he's going to fit. Look for him to possibly be one of these starters last year who could be losing their job coming up this year. The next is Jimmy Ward. Now, Jimmy Ward, they signed him to a 1-year deal this offseason, but the issue is he's been injured and on injured reserve for 4 of his first 5 seasons in the NFL, and Adrian Colbert is sitting right there as a younger option. Yes, he was injured, but is an option nonetheless to be the other player there in the defensive back. This whole secondary, which we talked about earlier, I think everyone but Richard Sherman, and even Sherman technically, could lose their job this offseason and be replaced. Talk about the corner you drafted in the 6th round. You talk about bringing in guys during free agency. I could see a case where the depth chart as we know it, the cornerback depth chart, the safety depth chart, the secondary depth chart as we know it, could look very different from what we think it is right now to where it looks here in 2019. How it's going to work? They're going to get into camp, and Kyle Shanahan and the boys are going to coach him up, and they're going to put the best guys on the field, obviously. And so Jimmy Ward, another one of guys on those lists that could be in for a little bit of a demotion. Finally, also in the secondary, and this ties in with what I just said, Ahkello Witherspoon was the worst graded. Okay, pause. Time out. Remember, we always say the Niners had the worst graded secondary in the NFL. Witherspoon was one of the reasons why, because Pro Football Focus rated him as the worst cornerback in the league last year. Out of 112 cornerbacks. 112! That was bad, right? So you're sitting there, and of course they signed Jason Verrett this offseason, was their one cornerback addition in free agency, and Verrett was a former Pro Bowler with the San Diego Chargers, the LA Chargers now. I could see Witherspoon possibly losing his job. He's had his flashes, but it's got to be better than it was last year. And again, the same with Jimmy Ward, the same with the entire secondary. We have to get into camp. We have to get into, not just camp, but also the preseason as well. Blinked on it there. Get in on the preseason and figure out who can play. Find the guys who can play. Find the guys who aren't going to get beat. Find the guys who aren't going to have a lot of penalties and a lot of mental mistakes. Put them on the field. I'm not sure who that's going to be, but look for Ward and Witherspoon. Could be two guys that could go from here to be coming back down just a little bit. What do you guys think? Which veteran? If you had to say any veteran on the 49ers could be at a potential where they could lose their starting role this offseason or in 2019. Let me know. As always, scroll down in the comments down below. That's it. That's all the rumors we have for today. We got a lot more 49ers rumors and news coming up next week, but also stay tuned. Subscribe to Chat Sports because look for another 49ers video to drop later this week by yours truly. Hint, hint, it's going to be really good. So go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports as always. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. For Chat Sports, I'm Thomas Mott signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.